Same face on.
Swords clash. Fireballs and lightning bolts fly across the field. People scream out in agony. This could be a scene from the latest blockbuster, or could happen in your dining room table. Right? I'm going to tell you today how you can enjoy this at your own table. We're going to talk about the history of a game called Dungeons & Dragons. I'm going to tell you how you can tailor it to yourself. And I'm going to tell you why you should play it in paper instead of on a computer. According to the Player's Handbook of Dungeons & Dragons, the game was invented long before what we have now, before we have computers. It originated in battle simulations and war games. People who really enjoyed Civil War and World War II would get miniatures and they'd lay them out on the table and create a battlefield and they'd simulate the fight. A man named Gary Gygax, if I'm pronouncing that right, created a book called Chainmail. And what it did is it introduced fantasy characters into this battle sim. About a year later, him and his friend decided that instead of controlling a whole field of battle and competing against each other, it'd be more fun to control one person, team up, and beat up the monsters that way. In 1977, the original Dungeons & Dragons was released, what we would call first edition. It had problems, and within a year they revised it to what they called Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, which was the most popular. It lasted for quite some time, and during that time, you would see, that's where most of the bad press of D&D came from. All the talk of kids beating each other up and killing each other, playing out these battles. Most of that is urban legend. Very few incidents of teens being stupider than usual actually occurred. In 2000, Wizards of the Coast, who you may know from Magic the Gathering, bought out Dungeons & Dragons, bought out TSR, the company that printed them, and released 3rd edition, which was also quite flawed. And they almost immediately released 3.5, which is the engine that most of your video game versions of the game run on. In 2008, they released 4th edition, which is the current version. Now that you know a little bit about the history, let's talk about how the game can tailor to you. First and foremost, the Dungeon Master is the person in charge of the game. He designs it. He can tailor it however you want. If the action scene that I described at the beginning of my speech is what interests you the most, he can tailor it to a mostly combat game. All beating up monsters, gather and loot, getting stronger, beating up more monsters. If you perhaps play Diablo 2, this is the kind of game that you can play. If you're more of a theatrical person, you may want to role play more than the dice jump. And if so, then your DM can tailor more of a conversational game. You spend more time talking to people and figuring stuff out. Perhaps you're into games like Myst, where you solve puzzles. A good DM can throw lots of puzzles in there. You can gain experience solving puzzles. But really the best is if you have a DM who mixes all of these together. He learns what characters you guys enjoy. He piles them together and he makes a comprehensive game. So I can see in your eyes you're convinced. You want to play D&D. You love the idea of Dungeons & Dragons. You want to roll 20s. So why should you do it on a tabletop instead of on a computer? Very good question. I'm glad you asked. In this day and age, with all of our cell phones and our electronic devices and our faux community of MySpace and Facebook and FaceSpace and MyBook and all those, we don't spend a lot of time interacting with each other. We don't tell each other stories and we don't commune the way we used to. When you sit down at a table with all your books and your maps and you get ready to slay the dragons and save the princesses, when you're doing it together on a tabletop, there's more community, there's more interaction. And you get that personal story back in it. But most importantly, when you're playing on a table, and I know you've done this, you were playing a video game, you came against the big bad, there's all kinds of stuff going on, and you want to just grab that candlestick and bop it in the head, but the video game doesn't let you. Right? On the tabletop, you can. On a tabletop, if you want to swing from a chandelier like a buccaneer, you can do it. On the video game, you can't. So the options are endless when you play on the table. Right? Like I said, back before there was the internet, before there was World of Warcraft and Ultima Online, when people wanted to play a fantasy game, they would sit down at the table to Dungeons and Dragons. We've come away from that, but hopefully today I've convinced you to go back to it. Have a good day.